two Karens. One, and for those of you that may not be able to see it, one that thought she could and one that thought she couldn't. And both of them were right. So I'll let you think on that for a little bit. A friend of mine told me that, and it really impacted me a lot in that moment in my life. But we're going to get back to that. I grew up in Long Island, New York, or as they say, Long Island, New York. Any New Yorkers in the house? No? Maybe? And I always wanted to be three things: a doctor, a professional basketball player, and a broadcast news journalist. And if it wasn't for my extreme fear of needles and the sight of blood, I probably would have became a medical doctor. But those people who know me really well know that anytime I have to get my blood drawn or get a shot, I just you better pick me up from the floor because I'm gonna go out. But I actually became a doctor, with a PhD in what's called IO psychology, or industrial organizational psychology. Don't worry if you've never heard of that or you don't know what it is. My own family doesn't know what I do. I just tell people that I read minds, so try to block me out, but I'm already in there, and I know everything that you're thinking. But no, I actually get very nerdy about studying people and their work behaviors. So I create psychological tests about people at work. And I've been doing that for quite some time now for military, federal government, and the private sector. But let's get back to another passion of mine, which is basketball. So in New York, as a child, I remember, they ask you, what do you want to be when you grow up? And in 5th grade, I had made this poster, and I put, I want to be in the NBA, and I drew a whole picture of it. And I remember my dad took me to the open house, and we're looking at everybody's pictures. And the little boy in front of me is with his dad, and they're looking at my poster, and he says to his dad, look, girls can't be in the NBA, and him and his dad are laughing. And I put my head down, and my dad said, don't put your head down, You can do anything you want to do. So, that really stuck with me for a long time. And, now the WNBA, actually the Women's National Basketball Association, just celebrated 25 years. They've been an organization. It's quite amazing. I can't say I've been in the WNBA, but I'm really happy that I was able to play in the all-Marine basketball team for over 10 years and actually coached as well, which is the professional level for the armed forces, traveling and competing against all the other armed services, Navy, Air Force, Army, and also internationally, and received the silver medal with the Marine Corps. Darn the Army for getting the gold. But, at least I see we have some Army people in the house. All right. But that was a very, very proud moment of mine. So if you have the opportunity to let your soldiers, Marines, airmen, sailors go do sports, let them do that, because it's a memory that will stick with them forever. As far as my broadcast news journalist dreams, to be like Linda Martin, in college also, the professor told me, you'll never make it in radio. You just don't have the voice for it. Just forget about that. I had some photos here of my times in the Marines, and when I went into the Marine Corps as an officer, I went in straight as an officer. So you go to what's kind of officer boot camp, which is officer candidate school for the Marines. And then from there, they tell you you're going to go to this great school, which is kind of like college all over again, is what they told me. It's 6 months long, and you get to learn about every job in the Marine Corps. Not at all like college, because you have to actually do every job in the Marine Corps during that 6 months. This school is called the basic school. So during those 6 months, you actually do every job that the Marine Corps has. And at the end of that, you're supposed to put all the jobs in order. So if there were 60 jobs, you put them in order 1 through 60 of which one you would like to have. And you hope that you're going to get one of those in your top 10. So after my experience of those 6 months, I realized I don't want to do any of these jobs, especially anything that's going to be outside. So I put everything in my top of air traffic control, air support, air supply, air logistics, air management. I would have put Air Force, but it really wasn't an option. Some Air Force fans too. So I ended up getting air support as my job. And I had no idea what this was. Come to find out, air support is nicknamed the hyphen of the Marine Corps. So the Marine Corps is also called the MAGTAF, or the Marine Air Ground Task Force. Meaning anytime the air and the ground go somewhere, they need the hyphen. Which I just gave myself the job that deploys 9 months out of the year. So, going into the Marine Corps, I deployed a lot. But what this gave me actually was experience and a lot of practice. They say you need over 10,000 hours to become an expert at something. And I very quickly became an expert at procedurally controlling aircraft. So fixed-wing jets, right? Your jets and helicopters. Very, very quickly giving information to pilots. And I will say, my voice became the most popular voice, broadcasted over the radio all over the world. Because when you look like this and you sound like this in the United States Marine Corps, you're very recognizable. So later, when I worked in the Pentagon, and I would be giving briefings, pilots would stop me and say, I know you. I've talked to you. And I'd say, sorry, never heard of you. So to my professor in college, I have to say, I did make it in radio. One of the most well-recognized voices across the land. So I decided actually to make the transition from active duty to reserves after I finished my PhD. And with that decision, everybody told me, don't worry, you're gonna have no problems finding a job, right? You have a PhD, and you have 3 combat tours from Iraq. No problem, you know, I was a major at the time, and people will be giving you a job, no problem. So I was like, great, you know, even my dad, again, could do anything you want to do, right? So I made the transition. For almost a year, I was unemployed. I was applying for probably over 10 jobs a day. I became so depressed. I felt like there was nothing I could do. I didn't even want to look myself in the mirror. I felt so worthless, so failure. I thought, here I was, a leader of Marines all over the world, and there was nothing I could do anymore. But I kept applying, and I was preparing yet again to do another interview for another company to be a leader of operations. So I'm sitting there preparing with my sister to do this phone interview. She's reading over the questions with me. She says, okay, you've got to be on your feet for long hours. sometimes 12 to 15-hour days. Can you do that? Like, sure, yeah, I can do that. Says you got to lead large offices, hundreds of employees. Can you do that? Sure, I can do that. Says you got to travel to several places, sometimes in one day, over several miles. Can you do that? It's like, I can do anything. I'm a Marine. She's like, this sounds awful. So I sat there and I was like, you're right. This does sound awful. I've already done this job. In the Marine Corps, I did this all the time. And that was the last day I applied for those types of jobs. I realized I was unemployed for all this time because I was applying, not because I wasn't skilled for these jobs. Not because I didn't have the skill sets. I kept applying for jobs of things that I thought I was supposed to be doing. As a leader of Marines, I'm supposed to get out, I'm supposed to lead these other companies, I'm supposed to be a leader of all these other companies. But then I started applying for things that I was passionate about. I started using my degree to do industrial organizational psychology. When I actually started applying my skill sets with my passions, that's when I realized that's where my confidence was. If I can have my magic happen again on the, thank you. So, I'm gonna give you the secret sauce today. The secret sauce is here. Your competence plus your passion equals your confidence. If part of that equation is off, then your confidence is going to be off. Really explore your competence or your skill sets. Then really explore your passions. If you feel like your confidence is waning on you, and you're not feeling very confident, it's probably because your heart isn't in what you're doing. Or it could be that your skill sets aren't strong enough in that area of what you're doing right now. So that might need to get beefed up. But one of those parts of the equation might be off. When this pandemic happened, a lot of these elements still applied. They said over 2 million women left the workforce. But that doesn't mean that 2 million women stopped working. All they did was reinvent themselves. You still have skill sets, and you still have passions. And those are going to equal your confidence. So, I come back to this. There are 2 Karens, one that thought she could, and one that thought she couldn't. Both of them were right at any given time. And you could put your name in there. And both of them are right for you at any given time. But you can do it. Explore your passions and explore your skill sets. You can reinvent yourself in any way. And you have the confidence to do it. And be successful. So stay bold, stay beautiful. Doctor's orders. Mwah.